Hello friends, today in this video I would like to show you how to make the calculation of all the polylines and lines for the certain layer in AutoCAD Lite. As you may have noticed, AutoCAD Lite is the restricted version of the AutoCAD, which unfortunately cannot let us to make this calculation straight in this tool, but I will find a way forward for you today. That's why this video is for. So let's get started. So we have the layer already, which contains several types of single layers, but we are interested in to make the calculation for just this blue line layer, which appears already here. So this is exactly the layer which we want to calculate. It counts a dozen or so single lines or polylines, and we are interested in what is the total distance of them. All right. So what we need to do as the first, as you can see, this particular blue layer lies on other layers presented on this drawing. All right, so the most convenient option will be to isolate this layer from the other layers which comprise to this current drawing. Therefore, we need to go to the layers panel and use this particular icon, which is layer ISO command, and the command already appeared at the bottom. So before we set the proper item from the layer which we want to isolate, we need to take a look at the settings, because basically the isolation of layer in AutoCAD Lite gives us two options for the other layers which are switched off temporarily. Namely, they can be faded off or they can be switched off completely. So if I type the settings, I have another options for the layers which are not isolated. I can make them completely off or make them locked and faded. So I will choose the off option because I don't want to have them visible. Now is another option, but it reflects the paper space, so it's not important that much. However, we can hit off OK. All right, so now we can back to our selection. For the purpose of the isolation of our layer, we can just click one of the item belonging to the layer which we want to isolate and hit enter. Then you will see that our layer has been isolated from other layers. There is also another option available, but more awkward, I think. If you go to the layer properties, you can see that you've got all the layers, in total 83 layers in our drawing, but you need to set the layer as the current. And now your next step will be selecting all the layers and make them frozen or switched off. Then you will see the comment that the layer which has been set as the current cannot be frozen. That's still fine because we just need this layer, and you will see other layers are frozen. The effect will be exactly the same. So these are basically two options of how can you isolate the layer in AutoCAD Lite, which will be a subject of our further exercises. All right, so we have made our isolation. What is happening next? We should pull this layer away from this main drawing. Simply extract this layer to another drawing. How to do that is very simple. You need to select this layer as the total. You will see 49 items in total, which comprise to this linear layer. Hit Ctrl C, open new drawing, set the basic file, and use the paste ORIG function. Paste ORIG command means that our drawing will be pasted exactly in the same coordinates as used in our previous drawing. This is very important because it will impact the further CRS system in our next steps. If you don't see the drawing, that's fine, because you just need to use this floating panel here and hit zoom, extend. The drawing will be brought back to your center of the screen. All right. So that's basically fine for this moment. And we've got some layers available here. Let's check them, because as the default, the layer 0 has been set. When I drop down this box, I will see that eventually I have 4 layers instead of just 2, whereas just 1 layer has been isolated. It's driven by the inherent parts which came with this layer, namely the labels, which you can see here, as well as some circular dots available next to. But it's not a problem. We can delete this layer in AutoCAD, but we can do it later, because what is the most important here? We need to save our drawing as the DXF file. Once our drawing is saved, we need to open our QGIS, where we will do the second part of our exercise. Since AutoCAD Lite doesn't provide the direct option for calculation total length of lines and polylines in the given layer, the QGIS seems to be one of the best and the most reasonable option for doing it, especially that it includes an option for importing the EXIF files and playing with them. So in QGIS, in the project, we need to go to the import export, and the very bottom option is dedicated for importing layers from AutoCAD. They can be both DWG or the EXIF. We will deal with the EXIF. But before we do it, we need to set up our target package, which will be the geo package. QGIS will ask us about it. So in this folder, we can create the example geo package file and hit save. Make sure that our CRS matches our drawing. We are working in the British National Grid, then it's fine. And source drawing. Now is the time for importing our source drawing, which will be another DXF file. So we can use this cable 1 file. Hit open, and as you may have noticed, the layers which have been considered in our AutoCAD are currently visible here. And what I've said you previously, in your AutoCAD we had 4 layers. This label exactly reflects layers from our AutoCAD Lite drawing. So we have accordingly layer 0, layer which is linear layer, and another 2 inherent layers which comes along with the linear layer as labels and points located across the layer, right? So what we need to do right now, we just need to keep just this particular one layer, which will be used for auto calculation of our distances. So therefore we need to switch all the other layers off. When everything is alright, make sure that your group name is provided and hit OK. Now you can see that your layer group has emerged in the panel, which is great. By dropping down, we have other group embedded into, and obviously the polylines layer. We cannot see them for 2 reasons. One reason is that it's not oriented roughly in the place where the layer is, so we can use the zoom to layer option. And another reason behind it is that it's been covered by the map, so we can simply play with that other layers, make our layer visible. And as you can see, in this situation, the linear layer exactly reflects all the shapes as shown in our AutoCAD drawing, which is perfect. Without further ado, let's go to the calculation. So first of all, we can select the polylines and by right click use the open attribute table, where we will see all the attributes which comes straight from our DXF file properties. But we can make this attribute table editable and simply create the new field. We will call it as the length, and optionally we can set the whole number, integer or decimal number. So let's go with the decimal number and hit OK. Now the length column has been populated, so our next step is using the open field calculator tool. And in the field calculator tool, we can provide simply the length formula, which will calculate our length straight away. But because the output looks quite robust, we don't need as many decimals as presented here, so we can embed this function in the round expression. So we can use round, and in the bracket we could place the length expression, and after comma define the number of the decimals, optionally just 1 decimal. Then we see our output has changed. We've got clearer value already presented in our output. So next we can update the existing field and select the length. All right, after hitting OK, we've got all the values provided, so it's fine. We can shut the attribute table down for now and use the option which is here. This is the statistic, show statistical summary in QGIS, which opens up the statistic panel. Very useful. It contains basically 2 boxes. From one drop down we should use the current layer, which is already polylines, and from another one we should use the proper column from attribute table, which in our case is length. Once we use it, we have all the statistics shown here, and we see that the total value of our lines and polylines in the AutoCAD Lite layer is just over 5 kilometers. Another thing worth to mention is that the total count has reduced by 6, from 49 shown before to 43 shown already. This is because we have removed all the integrated items like labels and point circulars. That's why finally we've got 43 lines. It's not at all, because all these statistics can be copied to the clipboard and used, for example, in Notepad or Excel, everywhere we're concerned. This is the Excel version. Everything is nice and tidy. We can use them for further works, further calculations. Alright, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for your time and see you in the next video.